Hey there, and today we will look at this lab that is accidental exposure of private GraphQL fields. So the user management functions for this lab are powered by a GraphQL endpoint, and this lab contains an access control vulnerability where you can induce the API to reveal user credential fields. Okay, it seems like we have to find some kind of object to reveal hidden fields. To solve the lab, sign in as administrator and delete username Carlos as always. Okay, so let's access this lab. I'm gonna turn on my web proxy and explore this application. I'm gonna log in with Weiner and Peter. Okay, so let's change the email. I just want to capture all those requests. And there is no more functionalities here, so let's get to Burp Suite and analyze the HTTP history. So we have a GraphQL endpoint here. Let's send this to Peter and this one as well. We will have a look at them shortly. Okay, so there are 5 different types of requests here. Let's have a look at the first one. This one is a mutation request. So we use mutation when we want to send something to the server. So here, this request is basically taking username and password to log us in. Let's have a better view here. So if you don't have InQL installed, you should from the App Store to have this simplified version of the query. Okay, so here we have this input variable, and this variable is being replaced by this value over here, that is username and password. So when you send this request, you get this token and a successful response. Okay, let's have a look at another one. And this one is for changing email. So we send a mutation request along with the email that we want to change, and in the response it shows us the email that has been changed, like over here. Simple mutation operations is being performed here. Okay, let's have a look at the third request. This one is like a GET request, and it's basically fetching data that is image, title, summary, and ID for blog posts. So there are different blogs that are available, and it's fetching all those basic fields for each blog. Okay, now let's have a look at the fourth one. So this one is also fetching a blog, but with particular ID. So when you click on a particular blog post, it fetches the details of it, like image, title, author, date, and paragraph. And this is how the response looks like. And the fifth one is also pretty similar to the queries we saw before, doing the same thing. Okay, so in order to solve this lab, we have to log in as. So let's try to send the introspection query first. I'll give the link in the description so you can access this as well. Here I'm going to replace this data with introspection query and send it to the server. In the response, we can see number of objects, blog post with different number of fields, image, title, author, date. So these all are fields. If I scroll a little bit more, we can see another object that is change email input, and it has its own fields like email, which we saw previously when we were analyzing the request. It's actually a pretty huge list. And this is a user object. Okay. These ones are not pretty important. I'm going to scroll down a little bit further to find any interesting object. And this doesn't look pretty interesting either. Okay, this is interesting. Get user, because we didn't saw this one in any of the requests we analyzed before. And this get user has this argument ID of integer type linked to it user, and it has another object linked to it user. So whatever the fields user have, this object can have that as well. Let's see the user object. Not this one. Yeah, here it is. So this is the user object, and it has username and password field. Okay, maybe we can construct a query. So I'm going to this one. You can choose any request, we just have to change the data. And here I'll type get user. Get user has one argument, that is ID. I'm not giving anything right now. And inside the curly braces, I'm going to give fields, that is username, password, and close this. For ID, let's give 1, send the request. We're getting an error. Okay, so we have to type query as well and close it here. Okay, now this looks fine. I actually assumed that we don't have to write query because this InQL extension will add it automatically, just like in the GraphQL ID, but that's not the case. You have to specifically write if it's a query or a mutation here. And we can see the username and password here. Okay, so let's log in with this scripts. Okay, so let's go back to the lab here and log out. And here I'm gonna log in again with administrator username and password. Okay, now we can see the admin panel. Delete Carlos user, and the lab is solved. So again, introspection query helped us out to find out that hidden object. So even though that introspection response was too long, but it's worth analyzing it. As you can see here, it's like 1526 lines long. But if you don't want to waste more of your time analyzing every object, you can just simply use keywords. Like basically the one we are interested in has field names like username, password, email. You can use these keywords to quickly identify the sensitive objects that you can exploit. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you in the next one.